Welcome back to Goldenhour Live, and please welcome our new co-host, Morgan Ingram, and our next guest. So this morning, Sangram Vajre spoke on a panel about why the old marketing playbook no longer works. He taught us how to flip the funnel using ABM years ago during his time at Terminus, but now he's using a different approach. Please welcome Sangram.
Yeah, thank you so much.
How are you?
I am good, and it feels like the sun is actually from this side and not on the back.
Change up.
Got to keep you on your toes.
There you go. All right.
So let's talk about the next generation of B2B marketing. Many of the people here and watching online have drawn inspiration from the GTM operating system that you've been evangelizing. So can you tell us more about the framework?
Yeah, it is an 8-pillar framework, so I'm not going to go through each of the pillars, but I'll share a couple that might change the conversation and as people are listening into it. The one thing that we did is one of the pillars is brand and demand. A lot of people try to keep them in two different buckets, and they say, well, we got to fund brand or demand, and what we have found out is that no, the company. We all have worked in companies. It doesn't work that way. You can't attribute every single dollar to every single thing, so we combine brand and demand into one pillar. So it's significantly changing the way you think about go-to-market. And I'll give you one more. The other thing that we added was, in a big way, leadership and management. Nobody talks about that in go-to-market. Everybody says, well, marketing, you create leads. Sales, you close deals. Customer success, you save customers. Have you ever thought about retention as a word? If you said in your marriage, hey, I want to retain my marriage.
That's going to work out.
That's the wrong turn.
Yeah, just heavy turn.
I don't want it to turn. So we don't say these words, but we say these words in sales and marketing all the time. And so no, it's not about retention. It's about growing together. It is building together. So we're using words that are life-giving, that allows people to work as a team.
So how should marketing teams be collaborating this moving forward? What does this actually look like in practice?
So first and foremost, there should not be, hopefully, ever another sales and marketing meeting where we are looking for numbers and are fighting for it. None whatsoever. Where it should be is a go-to-market team. And what that does is that nobody's in their silo. If you bring a sales and marketing team together and say, hey, Morgan, you're doing sales, I'm doing marketing. I'm going to bring my point of view. You're going to bring your point of view. And then what we're going to do is we're trying to defend. Instead, if you and I came together and said, we're going to have a go-to-market meeting, now it's no longer about sales and marketing. We're trying to build a business forward. We're learning about the business of marketing, business of sales, and we're driving them forward. So the one thing I can give everybody to do is change the names, because names matter. Words have the power of life and death. You got to use words that actually do something and get people to take action, either positive or negative. So instead of silos, just call it go-to-market.
So you start with changing the name, focus on go-to-market. How do you put this into practice next? So that first meeting, sales and marketing comes together. Ideally, what would that look like?
The first meeting you do is you don't have a sales dashboard of how many leads, how many calls you did. You don't have a marketing dashboard of how many leads you're driving. You actually have a business dashboard. That means you're asking upstream, what are my top 5 metrics as a business that we want to drive? And if you know your top 5 metrics, then you're saying our entire scorecard should be in the support and service of those 5 metrics. It makes people nervous because people don't know what these business metrics are. And if you don't know, your history. Your job is history. So the number one thing companies should do is bring the team together under the same umbrella of go-to-market. And number 2, make the metrics that everybody's reporting on based on the business outcomes and business metrics. It will change the trajectory of the business.
I love that.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
If we're doing,
I thought you would.
if we're doing that as a marketer, how can I do first touch attribution and steal all the credit from the sales team to justify my job?
Credit is for losers.
That should be a shirt.
That should be on a shirt.
Credit
I'd buy
is
it.
for losers.
That's new merch.
Yeah.
You didn't think you'd be doing that today.
Yeah, there you go. Let's bring it. It is not that. How many times have you seen the sales numbers go down and marketing get more budget? Have you ever seen that?
As a marketer,
Never happened in the history of the world. Like marketing budget goes down as soon as sales number goes down. And how many times when sales number goes up, marketing. So the whole point is we're tied to the hip. We are in the service of the business. So if you're thinking about it that way, the attribution is a game. Instead of playing the attribution game, let's play the game of business and actually drive the business forward.
love that.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating. And you talked about brand demand. We were at Terminus together, and that's exactly what that function was.
You created like the first SDR Chronicles. That was phenomenal.
Thank you. But it was like what you were doing, and then what I was creating, that all came together.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see obviously more people creating. We're doing this today.
Yeah.
So as people are looking at it from a marketing perspective, and they're like struggling, like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
The game of business, Sangram, what are you talking about? Credits for losers, like what NRR, yeah, like NRR, like I'm like, what is that, bro? So what are you the most excited about right now, and what should marketers start learning to understand the game of business?
Yeah, I think the hardest. This conference is a problem. All right, I'm gonna tell you straight up. Right?
Okay.
I'm live with you.
You thought you were gonna lose your job in the morning, and now he's calling your job out again. So
I'm never gonna be brought back. So that's okay. This conference is a problem because people over here are going to be so hyped up, ready to go, jump off the buildings, and without a parachute, right? Like that's what's gonna happen because they're gonna be feeling like, oh, I can do this. But they can't do this without actually having the other teams part of it. So what people need to do is learn as a team. If you have a marketing, sales, CS person actually coming to this conference together, they would be like, whoa. So I hope when people are listening and taking the recordings, they actually watch it together and learn together. That's what's not happening. Everybody's trying to do something on their own. That's not how business works.
Do you feel like too many people are trying to play hero instead of being collaborative?
Well, you know Donner Miller, like we both follow, and again, he says something that always struck with me. Be the guide, don't be the hero. Be the guide, don't be the hero. And a lot of times we all are, in the creator economy, you are going to try to be like, well, I am the creator, I am the influencer, I am the hero. But in the process, you end up just talking about yourself. And then you lose again the side of the business. Now, if you want to build a business just around you, all the best.
Yeah.
Good for you. But if you're trying to build a real business and build like what you guys are doing, you're not building around one person, around your beard, like which is amazing, right? You are trying to build a whole business around this idea that people need to create brand and audience. So you need to go outside of that. And I think this is going to be tough for people. It's an ego. At the end of the day, it's an ego conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry.
No, you were all in. I can't stop you.
I called his beard.
Yeah. He has to answer the call.
Yeah,
so I was like,
nobody has
you
called
got
on
it.
your beard yet.
No, what I was gonna say though is I think that this like creator thing that you're talking about, making it all about me, we see a lot where like we over-index on vanity metrics like likes and comments and all that, and that's like. We want engagement, right? But like when we're creating content that is all about me, even if personally like that content is successful when it comes to those metrics, like we wonder why my content's doing great or some internal creator's content is doing great, but it doesn't drive anything for the business.
Yeah. I think if you are building a real business, it all comes down to that. Depends upon what you want to do. If you're trying to build a $500,000 business for yourself around, you can do that. I think you should absolutely go do that. There's a lot of money to be made. We already know a lot of people do that. I mean, you think about DG, right? I mean, he built a whole agency and he's building a great business around his personal brand. Phenomenal. If you're trying to build a $50 million, $100 million business, that's a different ball game.
Yeah.
You can't build around one person.
How does one person, the founder or the executive team, decide what they want to build? What questions should they ask themselves to understand what they actually want to build? Instead of the perceived notion like, oh, I want to build 100 million. It's like, that's maybe you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a lifestyle question. I'll tell you my personal story on this one, right? After Terminus exit, we made enough where we're like, all right, we had a great exit.
Yeah.
The classic challenge for me was either I go and start a product company, which I've done twice now, or actually go and do something that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Which is creating new frameworks, changing the mindset of people, of trying to do new things, right? Building a community and creating that's what I love. That's what I actually did. If you really know, at Terminus, the product was a byproduct. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I think at some point in your life, you're going to have that choice. What do you really want to do that brings you joy? Not because that makes you happy, but you're really good at it. Like freaking good. And if you are that good at it, then you put it. In this case, with GTM Partners, we decided I don't want to build a Sangram here LLC. Like that's not what we're trying to build. We are building around a framework. So we talk about frameworks. We talk about how companies are getting benefited from the framework. We never talk about me person because I'm not trying to build a Sangram brand. I'm using my brand to build GTM Partners. You have that inflection point, and that's the question every founder needs to ask. Is it about the person or is it about building a bigger business?
Any advice for founders who maybe started off just building it around themselves and their own brands and now want to shift to making it more about the consumer?
Very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard. I mean, we can even look at, we just use Donald Miller as an example, like that business is about $10 million in business. So if you look at it, yeah, it's not bad. Like it's a $10 million, highly profitable business. So it probably works for him, but it's around him. If he stops sending email from Donald Miller, that business is over. Like nobody's going to know anybody else outside of that. So that's the risk that you run into. So I believe that at some point you need to build a business that doesn't depend on you, that doesn't depend on your brand. And that's when you create legacy. So it's a question inevitably you have to answer at one point or the other. It may not be today, and you may stretch it for 2-3 years. The way I've seen other people do it is they build a completely new brand. They say, I have my own brand, and I'm going to build another company. I'm going to start over differently, and I'm going to run it differently. And that's how they can still continue the revenue stream, but build something else.
Okay.
Love it.
All right?
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know I learned a lot. And anything else from you two?
I feel like that was such a bar. If I ask another question, like
I know. I'm
I
like,
might ruin it. So I'm like, I actually don't want to ask a question.
I think
like,
I got you when I said credit is for losers. You didn't want to talk after
You just
that.
shut me down for the rest
Like,
of this
I
talk.
don't have anything.
yeah, I got to work on my T-shirt shop. I don't have time for this.
Thanks for having me,
Thank
guys.
you. It's great to meet
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sangram.
Thank you.